a shack on the top of a hill in the mossy creek bottoms of Cane Creek, Arkansas. This is Lighting the Void live. I don't know what all that popping noise is. I apologize about that. I'll have to get that figured out. But it's cosmic conditions. We're back. The moon has turned empty and dark. It's the perfect time to manifest something as the moon starts to wheel back around. And the one and only Mary Dusina is here with us once again to give you all of her intuitive knowledge and astrological knowledge. You don't think all those planets and stars are just up there for no reason, do you? I mean, all the stuff that moves around the atoms of the nucleus that's inside your body isn't there for no reason, so you wouldn't think those are. So we're here to figure out what the hell's going on. And once again, Mary's with us year after year, month after month. We've been doing this for a long time. Happy equinox. I messed up and called it the vernal equinox, but happy equinox, Mary. Thanks for being here. Love you. What's going on?
Thank you. Back at you. Love you too. Well, it is the vernal equinox in the southern hemisphere. You didn't mess up. In the northern hemisphere, like here in America, if you're in the northern hemisphere, it is autumnal, Mabon autumnal equinox. Yeah, and then 180 degrees away, which I'll mention again in a minute, 180 degrees, if you do a complete, if you will, 6-month seasonal turn, it's autumn here, and it's the birth of spring in the southern hemisphere. So either way, it's an important time frame. In autumn, it's the harvest. You know, it's like the justice card in the tarot for the sign of Libra, and seeking equality and unification and compromise, although we know there's tension around us in many and in sundry ways, dealing with the tension stress zones. And then if it's the spring, the vernal, as you said, equinox in the southern hemisphere, they're beginning to seed and prepare their new beginnings, the new seeds, the birth of the new with spring springing forth. And for us, it's the gathering of the final fruits and herbs and vegetables and sustenance of it's the ending of summer here. And it's the first day. And what's fascinating to me about the intensity of the energy around us this year, in September of 2025. I'm sure it's happened. I don't remember when. Didn't do down the rabbit hole deep dive, AI, Grok, or whatever, because I don't really want to use those things artificially. I still want to work with me being able to plug into Holy Spirit, Great Spirit, the I am that I am, and not go research and cheat and say, hey, Grok, what's this? Hey, Chat, GTP. I mean, all those applications are fine and innovative and the Jetsons kind of technology. Okay, amen. But I still want to not get lazy with myself. That's just the page I'm on. I can't remember when that we had the eclipse, the partial solar eclipse at the aneretic degree of 29 degrees. 29 degrees of any of the 12 constellation signs is a big deal. And we had 2 Virgo new moons in 2025. The first one around August 22nd, 23rd was at 0 point of Virgo, like the absolute launch of everything that the energetic signature of the earth sign of Virgo is. Now we have, and we had on Sunday in my time zone around 4 o'clock, we had in the Eastern Standard Time Zone, we had the 29 degree of Virgo that was highlighted. So one intensity, bold impact is that we had 2 new moons in one zodiac sign. That's number one. Then we had the eclipse just in front of, on Sunday. Then on Monday, on Moon Day, then we had the actual new moon energies. And so we had the new moon launching just hours after the eclipse. And part of what's going on with this is that when you have a new moon, then there are, even though it's seasonal, it's a time of intention. It's a time of looking at what's working. And then Joe, I study different belief cultures for the congruency. And wow, that's similar, even though that's Sufism or that's Hebraic. I find fascination in how spirit moves through different parts of the world and their cultures, although I can certainly pledge allegiance to my own. But in the Hebraic calendar, the 10 days of awe began at sundown last night with Rosh Hashanah, and the 10 days of awe complete on October the 1st with Yom Kippur. And in this Hebraic culture, the 10 days of AWE, and of course, Joe and I know, being kind of Southern hillbillies, that in the South, you hear that actual phonetic pronunciation of that word a lot. When somebody gets surprised in the South, they'll go, aw. It's kind of like a crow noise, but it's not C-A-W, it's aw. And so in spiritual terms, awe or awesome or here's some awe, signs and wonders to behold, we had all of these coming together over Sunday night into Monday night, or if you want to consider sundown on Sunday and sundown on Monday, on the moon day, the day of the sun and the day of the moon. And so what we're having with this time frame between September 22nd of 2025 rolling into that 21st, 22nd, 23rd, tonight we have this energy bloom, and at this particular time frame, it's a reset, and we're working on our loops, our repetitive loops that we're now breaking the chains of, and we're also moving into a resurrection cycle. It's like a baptism and a resurrection. It's definitely ascending and rising up, but it's always with Virgo. There's work to do. And this eclipse series started last September in 2024, and all of us, no matter where you live in the world, like right now the Philippines is facing, I think over there they call them typhoons instead of hurricanes. So we remember Hurricane Helene and how Milton and Helene hit Florida. And as I was telling Joe prior to this, I lived there in those hurricane areas for many, many years, many, many decades. And when you live in Florida for a long time, you also come to know people that were born, like what they call native original Floridians, which is kind of rare. But I was talking last year with Joe about, oh boy, the eclipses are shifting. It's been 19 years since the North Node moved to Pisces and the South Node was in Virgo. So the nodes are the impact points of eclipses and the seeds, the new seeds that we will emerge with in consciousness after we weed our mind chatter, our mind weeds, our ego weeds and needs, and we're able to get that fresh, fertile, new nutrients that have been added into our soil garden of life. So the intensity of this, when you get it at 29 degrees of Virgo, it's a South Node, new moon, which means you can run, but you cannot hide. We all have release work to do. I need to put this at the altar of the divine. I'm really ready to let this go. So that's what made my decision, beloved audience, and thank you, Joe, for your permission, and thank you, audience, for understanding. Normally, Joe and I would have been doing this podcast Monday night, but I used to, and still am very much moved by fire ceremonies and fire circles, and having been trained by many First Nations, Indigenous, and it happened to be male, medicine men since the 90s, and traveling out west and doing all that, when I heard about, which seems so unusual for me, a ceremony that was going to be held over in Sevierville, Tennessee, about an hour and a half from me, at a place that I've never heard of. And the name caught my attention because I'm sure Joe understands, and a lot of the audience, I love the Renaissance and medieval festivals in Florida, whether it was Orlando or over in in the West Coast. I loved them. And so when I was looking at this place, this ancient lore village, I'm like, how have I not heard of this? How old is this? And it wasn't one of the movable Renaissance festivals. It's like round buildings and fairy cottages. And I'm like, wait, what? So they put on their website they were going to have an equinox fire circle. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty hip for Tennessee. I mean, just like Florida, there's a whole bunch of tourists that start to come into East Tennessee, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, apple orchards, the Tail of the Dragon. There's a lot of people that want to come to the mountains, especially that live on the beach. So I was kind of amazed. I hadn't heard about this one, didn't know how new it was. So I decided to just go because there was going to be like a gathering and you sit down and it was a meal, and then you were going to go to the fire circle. And as you sat around the fire, which I learned from my Native American teachers, you were going to write down what you wanted to let go of and release into the purification of the fire, which when you burn something in a fire like paper, it's going to transform from the lick of the flames and the burning process into holy smoke. You actually can visually, for those people, I don't believe it unless I see it. Well, when you actually burn that index card that you wrote on and you see it burn in the fire and you see the smoke come up, you visually get to see with your third eye, your two eyes, your two visible eyes, engaging your third eye, the eye of God, and our pineal gland, you're able to actually visually see it and also bear witness to the feeling of it. So on one side of the paper, you were to write, and not to talk to anybody about, you were to intimately and privately write down, this is an angst, this is a tension that I want to let go of. And then on the other side of it, if you didn't take up the whole paper with what you wanted to let go of, sometimes that happens, you were to write what you wanted to invite in. So that's what sold me on going to the event. The bonus was, and because it was the Days of Awe that started on September 22nd, they only last for 10 days, and I like to, as a mystic and an astrologer, see what kind of energies come forth in 2025 versus the 10 Days of Awe in 2024 and so on, right. Although I'm absolutely not Hebraic, wasn't raised as that. So I didn't have no idea what my seating arrangement was, so we sat at table 7, which there's my mystical number. It's a violet chakra kind of thing. So it was just funny. There were bats flying everywhere. Loved it. The staff was dressed rather medieval. They talked about Mabon. They talked about releasing. They talked about the general manager. I was like shocked. Talked about how she just lost her husband this year. And afterwards I said to her, that was so bold. And she said, if we can somehow share our shock and trauma and our wounds for those that can't speak it or are so repressed, what if it can help another person? And I thought, there's the seeds, there's the equality of autumn. And there were only 4 other people at the table that I sat at. One was an 11-year, look at numerology, they were having their 11th year anniversary, marriage anniversary, and the other was a mother and a son, and her son, who normally doesn't like crowds, he's like, I don't know, 18, 17, 18, 19. I wore a T-shirt that was the moon card, Joe. It was black and white, and it was a card of the moon. And I had bought these black boots that had like fringe and stars and stuff, the bougie stuff. And he looked, we were walking up to the food table, and he turned around, this shy boy that his mom said doesn't like crowds, and said, I like those boots. I said, well, I really feel complimented by you doing that. And so he has this really cool name and all that. So the mystical and the mystery of it and the shocker of it is that, again, unbeknownst to me, they had won number 1. They had the number 1 chef there. And I'm thinking, wait, how do they have that in Tennessee with Dollywood and all these Nashville and all these famous things? And I'm not kidding you, Joe. I mean, it was like, okay, I've never gotten excited over carrots in my life, and I've had Southern relatives that know how to make some cornbread dressing now with sage and stuff and rosemary, and I'm just like, damn.
So you had a good time, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Well, but what I want to say to you in the audience is, people get into these mystical, intuitive, dances and dalliances, and when we have something at the very last degree of the 6th sign of Virgo, 12 signs, when we come to 6, and it's a huge, what they call critical degree, before we can achieve the autumn harvest of what Libra can bring us, the Empress card and the Justice card, and it's the Sun card in the tarot deck is involved also, because it's got to do with what did the sun give light to and warmth and growth to with the seeds that we planted, as you said, Joe, in the spring vernal equinox, which would have been spring equinox in March of 2025. This closes that eclipse cycle. But what's happening is it is a powerful reset point, especially for the mutable signs, and especially so in the spotlight are Virgos that have their birthdays in late September and Pisces folk that have their birthdays in late March. And the other 2 signs that come in positions 3, 4 is the mutable sign of Gemini. So those Geminis that have the late birthdays in June, and then also the Sagittarians that have the December birth dates that would be close to and prior to winter solstice and Yuletide. So the Virgo is like it or not, you can no longer run and hide. That's what the Pisces element can do. This eclipse is saying to us, you're not being punished. There's nothing wrong with you. This is about really looking at what's making you weary, how stress and embedded frustrations or resentments or angers, there's work to do to get that stuff out of there. You're not just the product of your childhood or your parents or the adoption story or the rough childhood or being the rejected one. And you're not just, that's not just you. Those are things that are orbiting around you. And this Virgo eclipse is saying, and now you're going to crack that shell. But there's work to be done. Never, ever think when it comes to Virgo or Capricorn that there's not work to be done. So this is a reset, and it's opening up the work that you've done since March of 2025 and the events that have happened since around the eclipse times in March. But that back in March, the full moon would have been in Virgo when the sun was in Pisces. So from March of 2025 to right now, that 6-month, 6-sign dance is telling us that there's closure now. Some doors are just slamming shut. Some of us are throwing our hands up going, you know what? I've been sincere, not saying I'm not without fault. I'm not doing this that way only anymore. I've got to find ways to nurture myself, rely on myself, not take the judgment or the allure of other people and any kind of those manipulations. And I'm going to thine own self be true kind of a thing. So
amen.
This is bringing, but this isn't just going back to March of 2025, and you might want to write this down. This eclipse cycle that started in September of 2024 hasn't happened for 19 years. So you would subtract 19 from 2024, and you would go back to that 18-month cycle, no matter what your age is. That, like, if you're younger than that, if you're 17, for example, then you would look at what was going on in your household, what was going on in your family line at that time. Maybe it was your parents that had the lessons, and you were the byproduct of bearing witness to that circus. So subtract 19 from 2024, and then that year, you would go forward 18 months because these eclipse cycles last 18 and a half to 19 months. So what started in September of 2024 bounces into the beginning of 2027. And we're in the midpoint right now. So what's rare about this eclipse, this one in 2025, is that it activated a grand Earth trine. Taurus, our resources; Capricorn, our ambition and achievements, and getting out of the fear-based Saturnian rules, getting out of our head and our heart, the fears, like turning around to fear and say, fear, listen, if I'm really honest and I take all my emotions out of it, you have been the toughest, most effective teacher that's either shut me down or made me mad, or certainly I wanted to divorce you. So Saturn, the fears that we carry with us over time, that's part of the Capricorn element. And this eclipse is releasing us from the cycle of fear. Follow me on this. Us choosing unconsciously, or us pretty much familiar with, we don't get motivated sometimes in life for the big door openings or the big changes unless we get that angry, that scared, that abandoned, that manipulated, because those can all be the negative sides of the Saturn Capricorn thing. The beginning of this year, when we got to late March into May, Saturn went into the sign of Aries. It's not been there for 30 years. And many, many astrologers have talked about the uniqueness and the rarity of what we're going through in 2025 and 2026 with these big planetary changes. This Virgo eclipse right now opened up a grand Earth trine. That's like the good mojo and juju and the celestial forecast. And so the energies in our chart of Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, that's work that's got to be done. What are we going to spend time with? How much is it going to cost? How much is our lack of peace costing us stress-wise and health-wise? It isn't always about the dollar figure or the gold. It's also about, Virgo is health. It's the sixth sign. It's also showing us over the last 6 to 7 months, and then 19 years ago, where in our body are we beginning to hold the emotional trauma? Where's the loosh? Where's our stress center in our body? Is it lack of sleep? Is it digestive issues? Where is it? Where is it building up? And I'm seeing more and more people talk to me about nurse practitioners and physicians that are beginning to incorporate some naturopathic and holistic type of statements like, some of this can be caused by stress. I'm beginning to hear more medical people get over on that side instead of just being pharmaceutically limited. If you hear, here's the pill, go away, you're crying, you're bitching, you're angry, here's the pill. It's not going to solve it, but we can cover it up for you so even you can be a little more asleep to it. Yeah.
You're begging my doctor, please give me a Valium, please.
Yeah.
Hey, I got good doctors. You're right, because most of my doctors are saying, drugs ain't the answer. You got to fix the stress on your own. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? When did these doctors start saying this stuff?
I'm glad to see I've always said, if the allopathic, the traditional medical systems, and the naturopathic could unify and not be divided, then we would be more able to get that yin-yang, that full spectrum of healing. So what we've got on right now also is that when we hit that 29 degrees of Virgo, and if you're a beginner to astrology and the star language, just because an eclipse happens on a certain day in September of 2025, the buck doesn't stop there. These are portals that open. These are orbiting cycles, as Joe was talking about, the stuff that's moving around above our heads besides Starlink and Atlas I-31, whatever that is, and Oumuamua and all these things. So we've got constellations and we've got electromagnetic frequencies. We have ionosphere. We have things that are scientifically solar flares and storms. So what this also is igniting is the next 6-month cycle into next year, into the March cycle of 2026. So it is good if you'll make some kind of little mental note, if you've got a great memory, or write down your top 7 or your top 3 points to ponder about your life thus far right now in 2025, even if you want to keep it that short. What have you accomplished? What did you let go of? Just like the fire circle last night. What are you willing to let burn in a holy fire, which then summons and activates, and you have an intention and a release to say, Spirit, help me. I've done wrong. I've done good. I feel stuck. Let me in harmony. Let's call forth the Libra in God's own harmonious ways and great spirits, gentle, compassionate ways. Please release me from this resentment or fear or frustration. So that's what's happening right now at this energy. But I don't like it when psychics or astrologists fluff you up just to get you to keep getting readings. This cycle is about work. Virgo works the garden of the soul, and Virgo's going to do, as Joe said, the boots on the ground. They're going to till the garden of where do I have weeds in my mind, and where might they be in my past, and can I see myself pulling the root up, or have I gotten too accustomed to getting angry about that and afraid about that because it's gone on for so long it's become an unconscious habit, and I'm reacting to it by my actions rather than getting free from it. So it's liberation. When you come to the first 6 signs, so when we're taking the journey, as I mentioned, in the Northern Hemisphere from the spring equinox and the true beginning as far as Mother Earth is concerned, at spring rather than January 1st. So at the vernal spring equinox, Aries begins, and Aries to Virgo are the first 6 signs of the 12 signs and constellations of the Zodiac. So we start in spring with the Aries energy, which is, what about me? Who am I? What about my identity? The I am. That's Aries. Then we get to Taurus, the second sign, my resources and values. Then Gemini, the third sign, my thoughts, my mental pattern, my beliefs, my psychology and communication style. That's Gemini, third sign. Fourth sign, Cancer at summer solstice. My home and my roots, the conditions around my home life. Then we go to the fifth sign, Leo, my creativity, my self-expression, my talents, and finally, right here on September 21st, my work and my lifestyle. Where do I feel like I'm judging myself too harshly. Where am I too critical or skeptical, or seeking perfection for that sake? And from Libra onward, when people said, "Oh, I turned 180 degrees from that," from Libra onward, which happened as equinox, 29 degrees Virgo, Sunday afternoon, and then by sundown, we had two things happen. On September 22nd, Mars was moving into Scorpio, so it was hitting 29 degrees. We had Saturn opposed between 28 and 29 degrees, this Virgo at 29 degrees eclipse. And then we had issues coming in from the air signs wanting to say, you got this, just change your thinking, work on your beliefs, incorporate some new beliefs, get a new strategy, re-strategize, participate in this. So in Libra, where we are right now as we're talking tonight, the other begins to be finally seen for who they are, what they are, and the distinctions of our individuality, our own identity. Libra is the opposite or balanced polarity sign to Aries, where we start the zodiac. So your own journey, shaped by your experiences, different from others around us, where we start to learn from others, what we start to form as attractions for what our significant other or a viable, workable teammate or partnership would be. A partner. What would be a workable option, and what do we bring to the table? We've also got to recognize in Libra the gifts. Although we all have challenges and gifts, but the gifts and the specific ways that what we're willing to do the work to keep a relationship of priority, a significant other. It's not just who you share your bed with or your love life with. A significant other are all the our SOs, our significant others are all the people, children, aunts, uncles, relatives, the boss, whatever, that impact us, that can trigger us, that can motivate us. So the future right now, this eclipse is initiating the next 6 months to a year, but very, very much so the next 6 months if I shorten the time frame. It's initiations, beginning, seeds. It's initiating a period where we're flushing out the old residue. We're discarding the, quote, containers that are the temple of our mind, the prisons of our mind, the longings of our soul that once supported energy in the outer world, while now you and Joe and I are both consciously and deliberately doing construction for more appropriate avenues and containers that can handle this current stage of evolution. Things are moving fast. They're much more intense. And the future, as well as the right now, as we hear this tonight, and when you replay it, our future that we're wanting to magnetize and be electrified in loving ways with is asking us to first honor our soul contracts and agreements, and step more into the unique style, talents, roles that we already feel okay with, lean into, agree to for this time of transmission and transition. It's a transmission of energy, and it's a transition of our lifestyles, and we are to commit to this path. Again, new boots on the ground, new assignments of our soul mission. This is a new portal opening up that lets us release what held us back, who and what we use as teachers or aggravators that hold us back, and we kind of lay the shame-blame game on either ourselves or them. So there's something supportive in consciousness now with light radiations that's challenging due to our habits on an ego level. And so there's an urgency. Everybody I'm talking to feels some kind of like urgent stimulation, or like almost like poking the tiger in the cage. They feel there's some kind of completion. They know that they're facing big decisions, whether they're ready for them or not. And the Virgo themes always orbit around health, healing, clarity, refinement, and our daily habits and rituals. And this eclipse, if I had to shorten it, is saying no more half steps, no more half-assed, no more maybe tomorrow. No, this eclipse is saying, okay, it's September of 2025.
Handle
it's
your
time
business.
Yeah, I love that. Handle your business. So if you're an Aries, I'll give you the short form first. If you're Aries, the focus Since we went into Virgo back on August the 23rd with that first that I mentioned, zero Virgo eclipse, that was the opening of zeros of Virgo, and now we just had Sunday, the 29th final degree, as we went into Sunday night into Monday morning on our time zones. We ended Virgo. We opened up Virgo, and we ended Virgo. And so Spirit, and even as an astrologer, go, 2025, 2 new moons in Virgo, so that's the shining spotlight of this year, no matter what sign you are, and further emphasize if you're a Virgo or a Pisces, and completely lit up in all of our charts where we have our Virgo Pisces axis or houses. So if you're in Aries, the focus got really bright on health and work routines, what was working and what wasn't working anymore, or as much, like a new strategy was needed. It's a strategy. Virgo is the strategy to help things be more efficient, more perfect, more the factory machinery is humming along and the parts are being made and the rotator belt, conveyor belts are putting out the product. So Aries, the focus, the spotlight was on where's your wellness? Where are you okay with yourself? What things might be coming to the surface between the third week of August and the end of September? And so what do you want to change about your work routine? What are you kind of bored with? And what do you want to invite in? If you're Taurus, it's focusing around your offspring. It's focusing around higher wisdoms coming from people younger than you. There is a kick of romance. There is a kick of desiring and wanting to lean into creativity, playing, finding some fun, but there's speculation with it. Now, for those that love casinos, Taurus is going to be going, yeah, baby, I like to spend money and lose money there. If you're a Gemini, it's home, hearth, family, relatives. It's got a lot to do with, am I wanting to reconstruct something? Am I wanting to change the couch or the towels? It's got to, sometimes symbolically we do external things, like Gemini right now might be looking at what I want to tear out that landscaping, and they may be kind of get rid of their stress. Virgos will rebuild up stress too. It's the digestive tract. It's the elimination area, that whole above the navel, below the navel, intestinal thing. And so this, for Gemini, it's like, where's the stressors in who I'm living with and what I'm around, and who are the people that give me comfort? If you're a Cancer moon child, it's in your third house, and it has a lot to do with the style of communication. And if you've been a teacher, if you've been someone that's been a communicator just by your personality or by trade, then when you get an eclipse that lights up the communication area, and you're a talk jock, or you're a musician, or you're a writer, this cycle over the next 6 months would be who's inspiring you, whose words of writing or oration are motivating you. So if you're a Cancer, it's going to be like, my mindset is motivated now by people whose words jump off the screen, or that I want to reread that book, or put closed captions on when I'm watching a movie if I'm a multitasker, because I got to look at those words. If you're Leo, this Virgo energy has been bouncing with, you can't always spend your way out of something. You can't always go to excess, spend everything, with random, like a pirate, like, I found the treasure chest, and so today we'll eat well and have fun. Tomorrow's a different thing. Like with the Leo thing, it's about, a lot of Leos I've been talking to are very generous, but they seem to get in the mood when they don't have the money at their disposal, theirs or yours. So Leos sometimes can stress about the currency of energy. So for Leo, it's values and money. If you're a Virgo, this absolutely is about the reinvention and the acceptance, maybe for the first time, of yourself. To thine own self be true. This is my identity. And if I lose people and I stop people pleasing and be totally an empathic sponge, I've got to set some boundaries. And how come I keep expecting people, I give to people and I expect people to give to me because I did for them? I've got to be able to, how come I don't like myself and I've got to get validated by external people and events all the time? If you're Libra, birthday cycle has begun. Happy birthday to you, September Libras. It is a time with a 29-degree Virgo eclipse, new moon cycle. It's a time where eclipses can be endings. Your 12th house sign can be a time to close the door and say, that was good, it was hard, we had the best of times and the worst of times, I'm simply done. It's simply over. I don't need to blame you or me. I'm just done. So there's a sense of, with Libras or Libra risings, there's some kind of a sense of coming out of the fog and exhaustion, and just like, I'm tired, and moving more into, I need to make it okay that there's not something wrong with me, that door needed to close or that needed to be an ending, because the ending of that chapter or book in my life also automatically guarantees I evolved past it and better for it, ultimately, even with all the bitterness. And now I have a spiritual release, and then the new doors will open, matching my current progressed spirituality, psychological release, better wellness, holistically. So it's a very powerful time for Libra. And we've got a Scorpio flavor to this Libra season because Mars has gone into Scorpio, and there's a bite of time as we come into that Aries super full moon over that builds really strong. It's a super moon over the 4th, 5th, and 6th of October in Aries, which is the balance to Libra. We're working toward the initiation, the new step. That's what I'm going to do right there. I just hit it. That's exactly what feels like it's the right move to make. It's probably going to happen in that October 6th to 13th timeframe. But this is the seeds of that now. And if you're Scorpio, you're networking, who you're meeting, new people, exactly what happened to me last night with all my Scorpio stuff, with Mars just going into Scorpio. It was a medieval Renaissance type of atmosphere, but it was like who I ended up talking to felt like tribe, which, when we go in the public, just doesn't happen all the time. So that was a nice, empowering evolvement to see that the people at my table not only weren't odd or annoying, but it was like, wow, what a nice energy flow with no expectations. If you're Sagittarius, this is what you're choosing to be your, quote, career, your work, your talent expression, and how much visibility you want to lean into that. Do you feel like, Sagittarius, that you kind of, with Uranus going into Gemini for the next 7 years, that's your partnerships, your significant others. Mars has gone into Scorpio. Sagittarius, that's your 12th house, so that's a rebirthing. That's the leaving the old form of an embryo that formed into a new being, a different being. So Sagittarians are really having a metamorphosis that goes on over the next 30 days. It may be that you're choosing to spend less time with work and more time not ignoring what's going on as some kind of a bridge between you and a significant other. And if you're Capricorn, it's what are your journeys? How are your beliefs? Are they serving you well? Are they antiquated? Do you feel like your beliefs and your principles and the customs and the culture that you adhere to, is it helping you journey forward and being a kinder, better, empowered, more at peace person? Now, that literally could interpret, Capricorn, to you wanting to do some actual travel. Not all journeys are physical, but it could be that you actually want to physically change your environment to get the ball rolling as far as how you're doing with yourself and your beliefs and what you believe in. If you're Aquarius, it's hidden intimacy, risk-taking, experimenting, and it's also got to do with going to the edge of the cliff or looking at heaven and earth or life and death, or that would be a birth, but this would have to end. It's an 8th house kind of a, where am I frustrated? Am I addicted to certain things that pleasure me, or that I don't seem to be able to sleep well at night or feel like I'm attractive unless those things happen in my most private world? So there's an adjustment going on with working out the kinks in your relationship or the kink in your own expression.
Literal kinks in your relationship.
Yeah, literal. And it may be that, wow, I never knew I had a foot fetish until somebody massaged my feet that kind of way. I mean,
don't be ashamed of them unless they get too weird. Right.
Yeah, if you're hurting someone or you're
that's bad.
That's not good. So with Pisces, Virgo and Pisces have got the main spotlight on them. And so I said you can still run, but now you can't hide. If Pisces has been drowning in medications or alcohol or external ways to avoid the internal crisis that has already been living with them over the last, 19 years, like their coping strategies, this is going to be shown to them by how the relationships are orbiting around them right now. Like, what's the feedback in your personal world, in your BFFs and your running buddies? What's going on with how that's operating? Like, are there like construction zones? Are there detours? Are a lot of people kind of moving away from you? You're moving away from them, because this is about an upgrade that's needed. Doors closing, portals opening. This is the rabbit hole. This is the rabbit hole, and all the signs that I just went through, it's kind of where the rabbit hole is happening, because we've got this energy. It's kind of a rare moment, at the same time an initiation and an invitation, that an ending isn't necessarily you failed or a bad thing. It's simply, I've said this many times over the last 6.5 years with you audience and Joe. We humans, we're kind of odd. We don't like change. There's people that have adrenaline rushes, but we kind of don't like changes unless it's our idea. It's like, wait a minute, I don't want to move. Hey, I like that job. Hey, I want that money. Hey, we don't really kind of trust spirit.
No, I've only met, to be honest with you, out of all, in my 43 years of living, it's a very small percentage of people that look at life like an adventure and that can pivot. The rest are trying to hold on to something, and the only thing that is certain is change. So that's kind of the irony of it all, right?
It is. And I think sometimes mentally, like the Virgo thing, like Gemini, ruled by Mercury, it's what's our mindset? What's going on in your head? How are you parking it in your head? So yes, there's the exhaustion of release or letting something go. Why? But sometimes it's because it became a habit and it was really familiar. But there's also a sense of being drained before the renewal arrives, before we'll allow the change. It's almost like we want some kind of written guarantee. Well, if I let go of that, is that going to be better? It's kind of like we negotiate with spirit all the time instead of trusting it.
That's called monkey branching. You can't do that.
I haven't heard that term. That's interesting.
Well, that's the term for it in a relationship world, where you got one person, they grab onto somebody else before they let go of the one thing,
Oh, I got you.
So
like the monkey talking to the jungle kind of thing?
Yeah, people monkey branch, and not just, they monkey branch in all kinds of different ways. It's smart sometimes, I would say, like if you're going to go to, what about like if you're going to go to a job, you need that other job before you let go of this one, or you're going to have a hole in your income,
Right. So there's an ebb and a flow to it, just like the ocean waves.
Yeah.
I would say right now, even though we're in the celestial season of Libra, and that's when you think about the 12 signs, and you think about Aries as a ram, and Taurus as a bull, and Leo as a lion, and Virgo is the harvest maiden, Libra is the scales of justice. So it's not like the humans. Like Gemini is the twins, and there's a constellation for all these signs. But Libra, that when we get to the seventh sign, Libra is about seventh chakra. It's about, let's bring it into balance. Stop kicking yourself in the butt because you're not exactly where society or somebody else or a partner or someone that's competing with you thinks you ought to be. Let go of the external eyes or judgments, because how are they doing?
If it's a partner, you got a problem. Trust me.
Yeah.
Through my experiences, if your partner thinks you're not where you're supposed to be and they're nagging on you all the time and it's causing relationship problems, like, they're losing respect, love, and intimacy because you're not where you need to be in your life or whatever, like that's, I don't know, man. I don't think that's healthy. I don't agree with it.
So it's not good for soul and mental health, because what it does, those kind of things make us more materially earth attached. And that's what I love about First Nations Native Americans. From the get-go, they teach you are one with spirit. You came from spirit. You are spirit that slipped on a human temple, a human vessel to walk this world with Mother Earth, but for a while, and you will return as and one with spirit. So for Libra right now, and those people born at that crossroads point, that really last part of Virgo, the last few days of Virgo, like 20th to the 23rd, including the very first couple of days of Libra, this is like your psychic ability is on the increase. It's just like your intuition is leveled up, but it's moving through the hidden part of you. It's embryonic. It's a birth. It's the cutting. It's that whole cutting. of the umbilical cord, what was feeding you and what was familiar, very familiar, and fight or flight has been severed. And you are, just like when we get severed from a biological birth, we are a whole new creature. You know, where we were flowing in the embryonic and uterine waters, you know, the actual human body, you know, biome type of a thing. They cut that umbilical cord and you better suck in and start breathing air. So it's like we may feel the need right now for more rest, just like a newborn baby and the mother. I mean, we need to, it's like there's a surrendering when the labor happens. You know, Virgo's the labor. And so it's like we kind of simultaneously we're feeling the need for more rest and to release as we're preparing for this birth process as we go into these eclipses that are calling us from 2026. So I guess I'll short form it all, because I know we're going to break for now, and say, can we all just let this be a time of clearing, cleansing, and a quiet renewal? Libra doesn't need it to be loud and proud. Libra is like, let me just take a pause for the cause, honor my feelings, look at what's troubling me. Where's my own storm clouds? Where do I move to gratitude in my attitude and look at the good things that I have done with myself and for other people without need for applause or reciprocity? Where am I able now to plug more? Remember, we talked about humans fearing change. Where might I, during this 10 days of awe, this eclipse pattern, where might I start practicing by my own mind and navigating my own will toward thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Almighty I Am. Thank you, beloved guardian angels, for being the director of the meant-to-be changes in my life. And I have one request. If they're meant to be fated changes, if it's kismet, if it's fate, may I please and thank you request that it comes into my life with harmony, abundance, and I will maintain as part of my fuel in my tank, faith and gratitude. I'll show up with the right attitude. I will set boundaries. I will back negativity away, as Joe has a wonderful term for that I heard tonight. Say that, Joe, about the type of bullying that you no longer allow, because I love that. It fits Libra.
What are you talking about? Like emotional terrorists or emotional manipulators? Emotional manipulators and emotional terrorists, to me, are right up there with violent offenders. You have to look at them that way. They're cruel people. Whether they know they're doing it or not, they're causing harm to you, themselves, and everyone around them. And it causes not only harm to everyone involved, but a chain effect of you, your children, and everybody else. If you're emotionally manipulating people, stop doing it. Mm-hmm. Just quit. They're not going to feel what you want them to feel. Only thing you can do is express your feelings. That's it. You know, stop being a terrorist. Yeah, I can't stand it, honestly. Like, I have a hard time, like, just, you know, whatever, you know, like walking away. It pisses me off. It gets me angry when people do it. Mm-hmm. And I'm working on that, Mary, you know, the whole anger thing.
I think that's wonderful. No, I can hear it in your voice, and I like it. I like the tonal inflection of, like, it's good for the audience to hear, because, you know, when you're going through something private and traumatic and troublesome and, oh my God, here we go again, and it's a completely different person, and it's just like chapter ABC 7 years ago, 19 years ago. When you get angry about it, I think sometimes the anger is, how did I get here again, and why haven't I solved it yet? And the Libra part of it is, the only person that can truly tell us about what we're feeling and how we're feeling and why we're feeling it is us to us. Maybe the divine. But it's not another person. Another person can have all kinds of criticisms or opinions, or as Joe was talking about, trying to emotionally bully us or criticize us or manipulate us. And it's just like, listen, I need to express how I feel. I want you to express about how you feel. But what's the win-win goal here? How do we both win on this? Because if one person's saying, well, I'll only like you when or if, and it's just like, yeah, you're not even listening to me. I don't feel heard. I feel like how big of a deal on a scale of 1 to 10 is this thing? If it's a 10, I need to hear you say it to me all kinds of ways so I can say back to you. So this is what causes you trauma. If I'm your friend and I'm your intimate partner, I do not want to ever be a part of betraying, beguiling, bewitching, or continuing any kind of legacy of pain. That's not what I'm going to bring to the table as a partner, as a friend. Certainly, I don't do that as in my professional work as an intuitive and as an astrologer. It's like, my work puts me into the fact of you are a confidant. You hold a responsibility to do this right for the higher good of the person, to lead them as the horse to water, not to tell them what to do. And that's where I would caution everybody on whatever psychic you think you are or astrologer you think you are, or how much you lean into all these other new techie type of systems to go find 50 websites and combine it all together and come up with that one main answer about that question or this, is don't rob your life of that voice-to-voice, face-to-face, actual hearing their voice, you're hearing their voice, you're in person at some kind of like consult or whatever, or seminar or workshop, or you're actually with that person or you're talking to that person. Don't let the high tech or the Jetsons or the social advances, the AIs, let it be you have advanced intuition, not just artificial intelligence. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, and like if you find yourself mad where you don't want to listen to, like you're about to unleash on somebody else and tell them how it is or dominate something or whatever, just don't. Like if you can't come to the table and express your feelings and then look at the other person, it doesn't matter if they're your partner, whoever they are, and you don't value their opinion just as much as yours, or if you walk into a room and think your opinion matters more and whatever, like you don't know, it seems simple, but you don't know how much damage you're causing, especially if there's emotions behind it, or you're just trying to get people to feel, what you want them to feel, because there's a lot of that shit going on. I want people to feel they don't get how I feel, so I'm just gonna break them down to nothing until they feel what I feel, or emotionally abandon somebody, pretend like you love them, then abandon them so you can teach them a lesson. All that shit needs to go. And if you can't stop doing it, like I feel like you should get locked up with the rest of the perpetrators, because you're making the world a worse place, not a better place, worse.
A witchy answer to that would be, may the mirror reveal back to you and bring back to you what you're giving out.
Yeah.
And if you're being a good person, then I'm good with the mirror. I'm good with it. I'm not playing games. We might invite our cousins of humor and good times, and
that's cool.
I mean, like the Robin Hood thing. I think Robin Hood must be either Sag or Libra combination, because it's like all for one and one for all. That's Robin Hood and his merry men. All for one and one for all. I think that's the cha-ching. I think that's the win-win, and that's why we have the scales of justice in Egyptian astrology. It's their energy of Ma'at, M-A, and there's like some kind of little communication symbol, M-A-A-T, and Ma'at is the scales in Egyptian culture, to where in one side of the scale is the person's heart at point of leaving earth life and going into spirit. So instead of the baby being born, they're weighing the heart of who we are in our earth life, and in the other side of the scales that is in the Egyptian belief is a feather. And so what happens is, if the heart had enough light, or as light as a feather, because the heart wasn't weighed down with temptations and lies and betrayals and resentments, then it's able to ascend in the Egyptian Book of the Dead into the higher levels and not have, like in Catholicism, they might call it limbo or purgatory. So in the Egyptian theology, it's more to do with, let your heart be the container that feels light and clear conscience, and your electromagnetic, the magnetic part of you, what you're drawing in, and the electrical aspects of who you are, what you're giving out as far as your light and your currency, the magnet, what you're drawing into, let those be both heart and light.
I feel too angry, Mary. All right, okay. Just talking about it, I felt angry,
But that's good, but you're owning it. Do you realize when we own whatever it is that seems to be haunting us, taunting us, overwhelming us, that's 50% of the problem. I can't tell you how many people are walking around out there and they're spewing all kinds of things externally, and they don't even know that it's their own self that's angry, therefore they're magnetizing drawing to them the people that will make them angry, so they can get angry at because
Shit,
they
I've
don't
done
realize.
that so many times, man.
We all have. But when you have eyes that will see and ears that will hear, we're able to see it another way, hear it in a different direction, and go, oh, yeah, okay, I'm going to try that because I've been doing that other way for long enough. I've been doing that other way. I'm going to invite in the fields of grace and the glory radiations. Here we go, glory. It's time for the glory point in the show. I mean, I want the glory in the fields of grace. You know, it's like Sting when he sang that Fields of Gold.
Yeah, I like that song.
And he's a Libra.
I just hope, like all the Libra energy, I just hope that we have a better, try to have, relationships are very important to me. I've always based, and I told you this personally, I've always based my success in life based on the relationships that I have in my life, which the ironic thing about that is it's caused me a lot of grief too, you know? So what I'm trying to say is if there are people out there that are willing to do for you, you should recognize it. If they're willing to listen to you, care about you, open their hearts to you, actually care about your opinion, treat you as an equal, then you should do the same. You should do the same. You should do it anyways, but you should really admire and enjoy that you have people like that in your life and do the same thing for them. And you don't have to agree on everything, you know.
Certainly prioritize that, because the people that are by their own choice and their own willpower are those people in our life, whether we're related to them or I just said to the couple last night, the anniversary couple last night, I said, you know, we were walking towards the fire we had written down our stuff, and the guy was so funny. He had this, it was a cancer joke. He had this big old paper, and I'm like, whoa, they were standing there, and he said, his words, I have a lot to let go of. Because they gave you index cards. Those are, you know, they're kind of like 3x5 cards, but he had taken the time. His wife just grinned. He had like front and back, like a regular 8x10 piece of paper, and I said, good for you. He goes, I got a lot to let go of. I got to get to the fire. I got a lot to let go of. And he was bringing humor to it, but he was owning how raw and tender he was as a masculine energy in this world that wants to work and provide for himself and who he loves and build a better life based on, as you said, prioritizing his partnership and
that's right, yeah.
and the dynamic. So it's a work in progress. And I guess that's the best way to wrap up the nth degree of Virgo. The art of life, Libra, the art of war is a great Aries book. So, and the art of life, when we get to the 29th degree, the final oomph, the final drumbeat that ends the actual ceremony of release and rebuilding of 29 degrees Virgo is like, we're a work in progress. So let's have, the latest thing my guides have been saying to me is like, marry passion with your purpose with passion. And it's not up to anybody else. Like, you're not going to feel validated or better if somebody else says, I really like the way you do that. Thank you for that. If I say that to someone, I'm going to say it because it was heartfelt, heart and a feather. I'm going to get up and validate somebody, not because I need anything in return, but because that moved me. That moved me toward the light, and it was rich emotionally, and it didn't have an agenda, and there wasn't a, call me back now, you hear? You owe me now. You know, it was just like, wow.
Yeah, stuff gets old, don't it? Like my whole, like what you were talking about, the 19 years thing, like it's been a long time coming, but I've figured out that thing that you were saying, like the relationships in your life where people just value you and your journey. There's this thing where that's transactional, right? It's like, well, if you do this for me, then I will be here for you. Or if you get to this place, or maybe if I see you're going somewhere, but you can't fail too much, or you can't be this way. We need to achieve this or have this thing, and I'll be here for you. Like that causes people that actually have compassion and love to really try to do those things for those people, go out of their way, extend themselves too much, whatever. And it sucks, like you were talking about earlier, to let go of, to change, to let go of people that have been really close to you, maybe all your life, and you realize that they will never value and respect you and love you, or just flat out value and respect you the way you do them, the way some other people would. And you should give those people that would a hell of a lot more time and energy and a chance than they deserve it. Not saying these other people, it's not about that. It's just, that's how you grow, letting go of stuff that's really hard to let go of. That's scary is how you grow,
I would only change one thing. All that so brilliantly said, but what came to me intuitively is that one piece, and I'm not picking on you at all. I'm saying it for me. That one piece where you said those people that will never value or never see who you are in their life. I would probably just take an eraser and erase the word never, because we've all known people.
Well, that's true. Yeah, they may never. They will never probably.
What's that word when they say I'm ostracized, or I haven't spoken to my sister or my partner or whatever, I cut ties. There's different ways they say it, but then they like people that actually divorce. And I was just talking to a gal today, and she said, it really hurt me when my parents divorced. And she goes, and they get along so incredible now, like call each other every day. And she goes, and they got divorced. And I said, look at wait, it doesn't, I know it hurt you then, but right now when you're talking to me in 2025, you're sitting there amazed in a good way, not in a bad way, that even though they got divorced and it was hard for you in your 20s, they're in each other's lives and they talk every day and they support each other and your dad looks out for your mom. She goes, it's the most bizarre thing. But I said, but it's bizarre in a good way.
Yeah, right.
I like the bizarre that works. It's bizarre by society standards. I don't give a shit about that. But how is it in your life? It once hurt and cut like a knife, but now you're sitting there laughing. It's bizarre. And your parents are getting along, even though they did a societal legal divorce. So the more that we can break up with or cleanse or look at as a reference point, but not our emotional or our spiritual barometer, what the current society says is cool or isn't. This whole thing about Libras, the pendulum always swings left, right, left, up, down, back, forth. But it's like in Job, where Satan is asked, Satan, from whence dost thou come? And Satan's answer in most of the biblical verses is, I am the back and forth.
That's right.
And the to and fro, and I walk all about this earth. So if you wanted to summarize that up into one word, it would be chaos. When we doubt ourselves in the middle of a storm, or when the people bring a storm into our lives, my position now is, oh boy, this is on me. This is a storm in my life. It's high tide. It's low tide. But at this point, this is where I bow. What do you bow to? What do you surrender to? I surrender to the all that is. I surrender to heaven and earth. I know there are signs and wonders. I know the supernatural is real. I know that I've prayed, meditated, gone to ceremonies, and gotten tangible third dimensional results. I know how to activate faith. My inner child always knew it. One with spirit, I came on the earth having those gifts and those skill sets and those talents. Society, in a sense, in the generation you're born in, the name of it X or Z or M or whatever, why is it that we give priority to just what we see in the external world at the big box store or, the movie that you see? Start being more aware of your choice of what you're putting your eyes onto or into. How much is it? 7 hours a day? How much are you inviting fear at your table of life to be your guest? So I found myself looking more at movies that are based on true stories. I'm backing away from anything violent or gory completely. I never liked that anyway. But like this last week, I think it's an old movie. I never heard of it, but it was called The Faith of Angels. And it's based on a story out of 1989, I think Kentucky or somewhere. But it was like, whoa, that is really good. And I like those movies at the end, even though they have actors, that they actually show you the people that were involved in that scenario. And like the one guy that was a young guy and how his faith was tested. It was funny, Joe. It was almost like when I was watching that movie Saturday night, I think it was, The Faith of Angels. It's free on YouTube. I think I watched it on Prime or Netflix or something. But A Faith of Angels, the guy in that film that did have a supportive partner, I kept thinking of you. Joe, I kept saying, for some reason, I'm kind of getting a vibe of Joe Roop on that guy that, and not to do any spoilers, but he's the guy with the mustache in the movie that, as a boy, went to those mines all the time with his grandpa. and actually drew the map of the mind. That's all I'm going to give you. But I'm telling you, if you want a feel-good movie, and I didn't know till the end that it was based on a true story out of 1989. I don't remember it, but I'm like, boy, that moved my soul. So in these 10 days of awe, before we go into doing intuitive readings and stuff, between September 22nd and the 10 days end on, it's from Rosh Hashanah to Yom Kippur, notice who moves you by how you see it, what they say, what energy came up in you, what animal totem, what creature teachers are showing up, what's unusual in nature as an herb or a flower, how are you sleeping, what's that fragment of a dream, it's a symbol, it's an omen, take notice of this, and just kind of bear witness to what the great I Am is wanting to bring in your life, answering your prayer and your request for the awe and the awesomeness of whatever it is, and at whatever level you're willing to open up and let the divine help you resolve, solve, reset, resurrect, baptize the things that were former problems. It's like Psalms 91 time. It really is.
So we're going to so you've done the signs, actually. You went through all the signs, yep. Right? So yep. This should give us plenty of time to take your phone calls if you want to ask Mary a question. I will start. We only have one line, so if you don't get through, keep calling. I will not pick up the phone until we get back from the break, though, because everybody get some water, do whatever you got to do, and then if get ready to dial that number, 501-777-5631. It's a beautiful number. We'll be right back with Mary Dusina at Cosmic Conditions. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us.
I'll tell you being brought to you by new 13.5 Lives cat food. The cat food that gives your cat 50% more lives than the leading brand. This, of course, is just an estimate, and your cat's number of lives may vary according to geographical location, weather conditions, and the relative number of large, vicious dogs in your neighborhood.
And remember, if you'd like to learn one of life's most valuable secrets, just send $20 to the announcer in care of this station. And by return mail, you'll receive your very own copy of the exciting 1.5-page book entitled Why You Should Never Send Some Guy $20 Just Because He Asks You to over the radio.
That might have backfired on me. I'll take your $20 donations right now. I could use them. All right. All right, we're back. Mary Dusina, and we're going to take your phone calls. And 501-777-5631. That's the number to call in if you want to talk to Mary. I think that was a pretty good intuitive insight for what's going on. And I still think that the moons are coming around quicker. Is that, or I'm just getting older? Is it not? Do they ever just?
Somehow I think the consciousness is all accelerated. Whether it's astrology or the numbers, or the animals showing up on my life, it's just like you turn around and one moment it's not there, and another moment it's like right there. It's just like, whoa! I think we just bent time or jumped timelines backwards and forwards. There's this whole multi-dimensionality right now where time really is an illusion. It's more about what feels right, what feels like we need to participate in, and what feels like we need to go, yep, nope.
Tell me how to slow it down, Barry. Can I slow time down to back when I was a child, where I used to go out I'd take a stick and I'd go out on the road and sharpen it until it turned into a spear, you know? And my parents would say, oh, you can go to the lake next week. And I'd be like, next week? Oh my God, dude, that's so long from now. You know? Yeah. What? Yeah. How do I get back there?
You go back to when you're the child, and in the process, you're slowing your breathing down to, instead of the shallow breathing we do as humans, you slow your breathing down. So you're engaging your conscious mind. You're slowing your breathing down to a waltz count of 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm talking about inhaling to a count of 4, holding it to a count of 4, exhaling it to a count of 4 at least. I mean, really blow it out on the exhale. What that does is it keeps the monkey mind, the monkey branch, the conscious mind engaged in a project, in like an assignment, and then your unconscious and higher consciousness then go back to the sweet spot of a little boy finding the perfect stick. Ooh, that branch will do. Ooh, I like that. And then you're sharpening. There's the Virgo work. You're sharpening it. You don't even know why you're doing it, but it feels right to do it. That's faith. That's your talent. And then before your parents even say anything about the lake, or before they ever get involved, you as that little boy that accomplished sharpening that stick to a spear, then you start to imagine, am I Robin Hood? Am I a pirate? Am I going to hit the bullseye? Is this my walking stick? But I don't have to be afraid of the unknown anymore because I have a stick and a spear. Then what would be the adventure that you would want to do with it on your own, with your own volition, instead of whether, and of course we have to respect the age we are with our parents or grandparents, but without them kind of shutting down any kind of dream, whether they said yay or nay to the lake, the sweet spot of your inner child and your little boy is, I know how to take something that looks like a stick.
It's like a Zen garden. You got to get Zen again.
I made it into my own secret multi-dimensional weapon, walking stick, or whatever.
All right. Fair enough. Looks like we got 801 area code. You're on the air with Mary Dusina. Who are we speaking with?
Hi, Joe. This is Utah.
Utah. How you doing?
Hello, Utah.
I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic. Do you got a question for Mary, or do you want her to pull a card?
Well, the question I was having was why it feels like timelines are jumping, and just what you were talking about. So, yes, Mary, would you please pull a card and see what you want to say?
Thank you, Utah. Blessings of autumn and beyond. I see two things. One of the cards that fell out it's an artistic card that has to do with the whole energy of a unicorn as well as Pegasus, the flying horse, and the horse that only as legend and lore would say that only the pure maiden could ever go and touch the magical horn of the unicorn horse. Usually they were white, not always, but usually they were white. And so the unicorn as a creature teacher totem, animal spirit, four-legged, if you will, because it's still horsepower, whether it's a flying horse atmospherically or the magical unicorn horse with the curled horn, which looks like those kind of shells that twist and look like an upside-down unicorn horn. I'd see them in Florida. I love those little shells. I don't know if they're conch. No, there's some other name for them. They're spiral. But what I'm feeling and what I'm being
I actually pulled one out of my drawer today, a little conch shell.
Little synchro.
That was gifted to me.
Do you know the year about?
Yes, it was.
How long ago?
It was 2020. Let me think. It was end of 2019, right before the pandemic, several months before the pandemic was an issue.
Okay, so there's something that you're clearing and cleansing from that time that has your magic, like I was describing the magic of Joe's little boy crafting, being a craftsman and having his imagination. You know, the word magi and magic, the magic nation is in the word imagination. I'm magic. There's magic to work with. And all artists and musicians, all kinds of creative artists know this, and it's a world that's like home for them. So I feel like that your inner school in tuition, that you're both the student and the teacher, not just the student. Oh, I'm a willing student, always. Sometimes for me, it's like, oh boy, I got to teach that. Yeah, I got to teach that. I kind of like being the student. It's exciting. It's adrenaline pumping. So I feel like that there are beneficial changes coming around you because the resurrection, the baptism of life, the reset is that I'm not just her. I'm not just that persona anymore. I had roles to play and a life script to participate in. I'm not there anymore. And again, like with Joe, go back 19 years. I'm not there anymore. I'm here. And I have evolved through tears and laughter to here in 2025. So I'm here, and I, again, will trust and embrace and make love with the holy magic. You know, I'm married to it. It is the mystical marriage. I want spirit and heaven to embrace me. I will abide. And what I see releasing, you know, I've often said in the lectures I did in Florida in the show that started out Cosmic Conditions in the 80s in Florida, I often would say when I came to the sign of Libra, think about a yoke like an ox wears or the draft horses have to wear or the Clydesdales wear. They're big, so it's a yoke that they wear. But a yoke is also, just like the public stockades they used to have, Joe, you know, where people were put in the stockades and they had to like be in a public square and they weren't killed or anything, but they had to have their arms and their hands locked down and their neck locked down. They had to like, kind of like a forced bow, like they had to be on their knees.
Yeah, and you just smack them with food.
Admonished. But the yoke is like an upside down or a reversal of Libra. It's when we feel tied down or overly frustrated, the yoke is a lot to bear, kind of a thing. So when we look at the phonetics, you know, when we look at a yolk, it can be an egg yolk, which is very nutritious, the most nutritious part of the egg, or it can be a heavy yoke on our back, and we're becoming the workhorse or the plow horse. They've got a yoke. That's when you think about donkeys, the Amish and the Mennonite, when they have those buggies, they travel by buggies. They're all over Tennessee here, and they've got those yokes.
No, there's an actual old yoke that was used on a big Belgian workhorse that is visible to me on the side of my neighbor's house.
Get out. Wow.
I'm not joking.
No
joke.
Really talking to you. Number one, you got through. Number two, you're validating timelines. And I mean, how unusual is a yoke? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, and that's one of the artistic visuals. So put that together for you and your first marriage, your first death birth, one with spirit, and we may interpret it differently, but we still have that. We still seem to want that supernatural power, that supernatural love and embrace. And see, humans can't really disappoint me because I'm already married. I'm already one with the I am. That's my director. That's my first love. That's my partner. So the human condition is wonderful and it can be tragic, but I am supported. I'm already perfect, and I'm already wanting to be the best, better version of myself because of my commitment to that union. And that's one of the things that helps me, Joe, with relationship fallout and expectations. And it's like, damn, I was good to you. What the hell's up with you? Why would you do that? Like, I don't even invest in that anymore, because it's like, I know what I'm going to allow. I know my worth. I know my intention. And I know that I made a decision a long time ago. The reason I won't put up with these terrorists and traumatists and false magicians and dark forces is that I'm not going to put up with it, because I don't invite that at my table of life, and I would never want to do that to somebody. So I don't need that lesson anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Thank
when you
very
divorce
much.
when you divorce that, then the way that I kind of call it dark force drama. The way that the dark force drama coaches want to suck you in it again, and it becomes very vampirical. It really is. It's like they want to get a hook in you. See a fish hook if you want to, but it's like, no, I'm not getting hooked. I'm not taking the bait, if we're using fishing analogy. And I'm not. I'll be a fisher of men and women in a sense. I kind of like that ascended Christ consciousness. Go, I make you fishers of men. Greater works than these shall ye perform. I mean, that intrigued me the first time I heard that. It's like, wait a minute, I'm going to hear those words again. So I had to grow those words. Yeah. So I feel like the yoke across, God putting His great Spirit, putting that yoke on your neighbor's porch, and whatever great stories behind that one for them is that you just got, by your own spiritual connections and guides, you just got confirmation. It ain't about Mary Dusina being a big damn deal. It's about the synchronicity of this night and the antenna of spirit. Think of a satellite dish, the way that something was received and then transmitted on this night at this time in Libra, Venus ruled. Taurus and Libra are both Venus ruled. Mars going into Scorpio, saying, reach up into the upper limits, not the outer limits, but the heavenly limits, because you are made in the image and likeness. And if you choose by your intention to say, I am one with love. My God, I've been fighting it all my life. I love me being one with love, one with good. I'm interested in activating my faith. I'm interested in seeing results, confirmations, but when I get those, yeah, the human condition usually focuses a long time on something they were denied. I'm retraining myself for the last 7 years to focus and spend more time on the things that did manifest, that are clear and clean, and that are actual responses to requests and prayers and meditations and results of where I was in a quagmire or anxiety that I didn't tell anybody, and it manifested as results. And I'm like, damn, that's some hot stuff right there. Now that's some glory medicine there. I love that. I'm fascinated by that. It's my first magical awe and wonder is how silently, but with our power of our emotions and our mind, when we get that soul into mind, into physical body, willpower, ego, surrender it to the all that is, the powers of light. When you do that, snap your fingers. The answer's going to be there. It's going to come. That's the medicine. That's the prescription. That's the divine prescription that'll work. But man, do we fight it with our egos and our thoughts and our past and our future. And I'm not going to be worth crap if this doesn't happen to me. Yeah, bye, Felicia. Be gone, because you have no power here. When you make that commitment with yourself, it doesn't have to be fear. Now, anger can be a motivator. I don't have a problem with frustration and anger, but when it becomes self-destructive, when it becomes something that's the domino effect, as Joe mentioned, of knocking down things in your life, if anger comes and the fire element comes in the tarot right now, Utah and Joe, when we come to the autumnal equinox, It opens up the suit of wands. Sticks, Joe.
Yeah,
Spears.
sticks, man. Make some spears. Appreciate your call, Utah. That was a good call. Good. That opened up to got Mary going. So good deal. All right.
Mary got fired up.
All right. 360 area code. You're on the air. Who are we speaking with?
Hey, what's up? This is Derek from Whidbey Island.
What's up, Derek?
Washington. What's up? Or don't watch my handle. But yeah, this season it's been calling my bluff a lot, and a lot of things I've been thinking about doing have been kind of manifesting in a sense and calling me out to jump on it. I guess
I love it.
That's good. That's good stuff.
It's great, but it's like it's a big jump. Like if I pursue any of this, it's going to be a big change. So I guess pull a card, and any advice would be great.
What you got, Mary?
Thank you. The first thing I feel is I see grapes, and the first thing it's saying to me is go out on the edge. You will have fun. It will be fun because you're almost like kind of pushing yourself to jump off the high dive in your life right now. It's one of those moments. It's like, okay, there's the diving board. You don't have to. There's the low diving board, less of a jump, still get the water. And there's a high dive where you go, woo-wee, I got to be ready for that because I'm going to go down with fierceness, and I'm going to go under, and I'm going to go deeper, and then I'm going to like pulse with my feet and my ankles and rise up, and you see the bubbles, when you see these high dive people. So I see that image about going off the high dive. The animal totem, the creature teacher that I see out of the animal deck is the owl. And there's all kinds of different owls. I mean, just go look at images of owls and pick the one that you're drawn to artistically, visually, photographically, and see what type of owl that is. I love that heart-shaped faced owl. I like all owls, but I really like that heart. I think that's the barn owl.
Yeah.
But I think that you're going to be having the owl, the wise owl. There's been grocery stores that have used wise buys, and the owl is. I loved it in the first Harry Potter movie where the owls came in with the telepathic, the levitating letters that came in. I love the owls flying into the main hall. So the owl is saying that you're going to be getting good, wise advice from a knowledgeable, wise person. It could be an elder. And it's so funny if you were listening to Utah and Joe just now, and the other card that flew out of the deck, out of this other oracle deck, is spelled STAFF, the staff of life, and it's like an ornate, like a walking cane. The ones that look like a candy cane at Christmas, but it's actually made out of wood. That's the way it looks, and it's got leather wrap all around it and an autumn leaf. The visual, the art, and it says, you will be taken care of in any difficult time. So to me, the grapes, the grapes are full on the vine to be able to actually eat the grapes, crush the grapes, and by the feet, they often crush the grapes with their feet, and they make the wine or the mead, as they're starting to harvest. And there's going to be wise people. You might even be. It may be transactional in a good way, Joe. It could be that you are with the owl, that you're the wise person helping another person on that juncture, that crossroads in their path, and the manifestation will be, and because you were kind and you paid it forward with that smile of that sincere encouragement and words that uplifted the person and helped them rise up and have faith and believe in that or themselves again, you become a wise person, a totem of good luck charm for them. And that's what's going to draw it. Think of the magnet again, folks. If you're a magnet, I think the clear way to help get rid of the stuff that stresses us is image that you're literally one of those red and white magnets, that U shape of that magnet. And it's our responsibility till the next new moon, at least in the third week right before Samhain, Halloween, for us to be able to say, if I'm a magnet and I'm working at what I'm drawing to me, where do I need to use my electrical self and short circuit that and realize that, okay, I don't want to mix them right now. I want to just see myself as a magnet. And what am I choosing to allow to be drawn to me? And if I don't like that, move the magnet.
Yes,
That makes sense.
Yeah, there's Derek. There's a part in the book, the book I'm reading of Robert Monroe, when he gets into the second part where he says, I decided to let go and let the higher part of me, which some people call the unconscious, whatever, but I let that soul or that higher part of me guide my journey. And it changed everything for him. And I've personally been down that road several times.
Yeah.
It is scary, man, but it will build your faith like no other. Like for one time in your life, you got to just let spirit take the wheel. I'm not saying just lay back and meditate, but like follow the road, follow the synchronicities and everything that you create or manifest, or even the smallest wins, celebrate them. Every single one of them, like almost ceremonially. And then it will continue to keep planting those seeds in your garden. And you'll think, man, what the hell is going on? You'll start getting one manifestation after the other. It's like being on a hot streak on a basketball court where you just can't miss. It'll happen if you just let it take the wheel.
No, yeah, I mean, it's like a dream state, just flow, like things pop out of nowhere that you weren't even expecting, and it just keeps going. It's wild. Well, and that's kind of where I was at with it all, because last time I jumped into a situation like this, it was like so far from home. I was halfway across the country and wasn't even expecting it.
Been
and
there,
I was
dude.
like, man.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's a trip. And then I hit someone. We were on a bike ride the other day, and we stopped for a minute to catch our breath, and I felt something staring at me. I didn't know what it was. All my hair stood up, and I turned around, and I didn't see anything. We're out in the woods, and all of a sudden, this massive owl just spread its wings right above me in the tree.
There you go.
Staring right down at me. Man, gave me the willies so bad. That was wild.
How many days ago was that?
It's probably about, I think, last Friday.
Last Friday. So Mary's calling out the owls on you too. Man, that's a good totem.
Yeah.
You're ready to go.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No,
awesome.
I feel it.
I
feel it.
Yeah, thanks for calling in
I
too.
love it. I love that she got the yoke and he's got the owl, and so his own psychic ability can immediately see, as well as Utah, you can't make this crap up. There's a yoke on the porch. That's odd. He's saying, I felt something watching. His intuition, all of his electrical hairs went up, the hair raised up on, he got the psychic chills. There's something watching me. What is that? And then all of a sudden the owl, which they call the other way that they describe that totem, which I find fascinating, the Native Americans do, is they call it the tiger of the night, because the reason
that's pretty cool.
The owl is such a good hunter and a nocturnal hunter is its wings, unlike other birds, its wings make no sound. Its flight makes no sound. No sound. Where bats are sonar driven like dolphins or whales, the owls, they're the night tigers because they hunt, because their intended prey absolutely cannot hear them coming. It's like boom, done.
There you go, man. Let us know how it goes too. Call back. Let us know how the adventure goes.
Whew, yeah, I think that's where I'll be calling from. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling.
All right, bye.
I know exactly what he's talking about when you start following that journey. See, people will think you're crazy. Some people be like, man, it's just coincidences, man. It's almost, you're making this up in your own head. Well, when people say that, one, they're kind of right. Two, you don't know how powerful your head is. Your consciousness is attached to everything that's created, right? It's just a garden. Your unconscious is running the show, and it's just a garden. And whatever seeds you plant in it will grow. You can grow weeds in it. You can grow crap in it. And you can grow magical, massive, happy synchronicities too. And then once you celebrate whatever it is or feed it, just like you do anything in a garden, it tends to grow, but other people will always say, it's all just coincidences. That's natural. But the only thing that matters is on your journey that something magical is happening. This has never happened before in my life. And I want to see where it's going to take me, and just follow it.
And I'd add point 3 to what you just said. 1, it can be true. I am feeling it and hearing it in my head. It is playing in my head. And 2, blah, blah, blah. But number 3 would be, and what you're saying, when other people say, man, you're just making that up, you're adding to that, and then my number 3 to that would be, and that's their perspective,
that's
not mine.
They're not, they're not experiencing what you're experiencing, so they They can't know, and that's the weird, ironic part about the whole journey. Like, if you really take a true magical journey, there's going to be things that aren't meant to be proven to other people. They're for you and you alone, and you just have to go with it,
And that's the yin yang. That's the plus and the minus. Some of our lessons were at points in our life where we probably wouldn't pay attention to it, or we'd doubt it, or we would doubt our thoughts or our mind or our ability or our faith might be weak. And so we'll get a lesson, we'll get a chapter in our life brought on by and involved with external events and people. It could be nature, it could be a relationship, it could be a goodbye or a hello. But when you start to work with the internal trust, the spiritual dynamic, where you don't have to have anybody else's approval, disapproval, or opinion, by the way, so it's between you and your God, you and your light, and your ability to activate as both a magnet and also have electrical congruency and connections. When it starts to happen that way, it comes from the inside out. And so then from your inner intention and your aspirations, your faith, your dedications, you'll see the manifest come in. And it's an upgrade every time.
I also want to say, before we take this next caller real quick, if you're seeing owls, brother, it's on like Donkey Kong, man. I'm just telling you, I want to do a whole show about owls one day. Like, get Mike Clellan back on. Like, there's something really special about that creature and that totem, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like, something, I also think that there's like a mystery to it, something that's unexplainable that goes on between owls and people that have, I don't know, man, just crazy things happen to them. Last time before I went on this journey, I saw 3 owls, and the person I was talking to had one smack her window while we were talking on the phone, and just owls just kept showing up. It was insane. So
owls have a lot of, you're right, owls have a lot of intricate meanings, and they're also tied to crows. The reason that crows have to roost between sunset and twilight is their number one enemy is the owl. It's the owl that will come and invade the crow or the crow's nest. So crows have to roost because owls come out at dusk and they're there at dawn. They're nocturnal, so the crow has to go protect its lair, if you will, and its tribe, because so they're synchronistic. They're yin yang, the crow and its meanings and the owl.
yeah, and for anybody that's interested, there's some really deep, like, paranormal stuff that goes on with that too that's unexplainable. Check out Mike Clellan's work. We've had him on the show a couple of times, but I think he's one of the most, like, underrated guys on that whole subject of owls. All right.
You're supposed to have him back on, Joe, because it's coming up.
Yeah,
This is the third day of all.
I need to see if he'll even consider it, for sure. Yeah. 540 area code. You're on the air with Mary Dusina. Who are we speaking with?
Yeah, Joe, it's Mike in Virginia. Hi, Mary.
What's up?
Hi.
Well, I just wanted to call in. I had these dreams, and these last 2 dreams I had were very interesting. And what they did was I interpreted them differently. I actually got into Google, and you put it in search, and you hit the microphone. And I talked out the entire first dream, and it came back with an interpretation. And what I realized was I was not interpreting my past dreams in a healthy way. And then I had another dream after that to where I was in a little sports car. It was a Miata. It was dark blue. And I was going down the driveway. I looked down. I didn't have any pants on, so I thought, I got to go back and get pants. Turned around and got to the house, and my mobile home on the outside had been completely remodeled. It was a different-looking mobile home, completely had, windows.
What is that noise? You hear that? What is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hold on a second. I got to figure out what the hell. Keep telling your dream. I got to figure out what that noise is. I have no idea what that is.
And so I went back, and it was totally remodeled, smaller windows, different places, but not as many. And then I went inside the mobile home, and it was completely emptied out, but it still looked the same. It ratted out and needed a lot of repair. And what I finally learned from that was I went back to all these dreams where I had this dream where my house was completely engulfed in fire, and the mobile home is gone, everything's gone, all the cats are dead, everything's gone. And I actually interpreted it wrong, thinking that was actually going to happen. And what it was, I was looking for something else to make a decision for me as to what I wanted to do and how I wanted to proceed forward. And that's what the fire was about. So I found that interesting. When I got to that, it just rearranged everything. And I've been working out as much as I can. I have a massage table, and I do all these different exercises for the hips and the legs and stretching and stuff. It's helping out a lot.
Oh, that was
and
Mary
eating.
calling back. She dropped. That's what that was. I was like, what is that noise?
Oh.
You know?
All of a sudden, here's what I heard, and it's okay because it's what Spirit wanted me to hear. I heard him say, "This is Mike," and I've been having these dreams, and then I heard fire, and then I heard the massage table and things that you do to work out the hips, I think you said. So your question about this is?
Oh, well, anyways, what I finally realized, the revelation of it was I interpreted everything wrong. And so I went back and reinterpreted some of the dreams I could remember, and everything made sense. But I went inside the mobile home. I was in that small blue car, sports car, Miata, and I turned around right there, and I looked back at the mobile home. It was all brand new. But I went to the inside of the mobile home. It was all, everything was removed, and it needed major repair. And what I looked at finally was that was my spiritual house in me that needed repair. To chases and things that, needed to be changed. How do I want to do this? So it's like I have a total thing of how do you want to proceed? And so right now I'm working out, losing weight, eating a lot better. I take chia seeds and I cook in a crock pot with vegetables and meats and
doing the Virgo dance.
As much as I can get it all, and it's working. It's working. And I'm starting to lose some weight, and it's like, great, I'm going to keep this up. And this is where my focus is just there. And that's my spiritual house is maybe eating, but then again, it's like your spiritual house is always, you want to be happy. What do you want to do that makes you happy? And you don't want to do the same old things that you do, but I really don't want to do that. But you're sort of in this thing where you do it. It's a habit. And you don't want to do the habit things anymore. So that's where I'm in my life right now. So I was just kind of wondering, is it going to proceed? Because when I look at it, I have nobody coming to my house anymore because the woman that was taking me to the food bank, she was my only contact in the outside world, basically. Her kids are getting older, so she's really busy with them, and she can't go as often or as if at all anymore to the food bank. So I was just kind of wondering what's happening.
Well, number one, I want you to pat yourself on the back and applaud yourself for being able to validate and testify, as we say in the South, that when you use the example of the mobile home, that the outside looks one way and the inside needed so much repair or construction, and you saw that as your external totem, messenger, visual, like an oracle card that came to life, like you used the term mobile home, so the mobility of you. Then you talked about the massage table, and I'm exercising, and as Joe came in and said the Virgo dance, that's exactly right. What happened is there was a firecracker moment of illumination and excitement, just like when some people like the noise of fireworks at New Year's Eve or July 4th in this country, and I like the lights, I like the colors. I'd be fine without the noise, and I could see all the pretty drones or just the colors. So you had a firecracker of like, boom, whoa, wow, so you had a firecracker moment. The other oracle card that fell out is literally a man's leg, and it starts at the thigh and goes down toward the foot, and he's stepping over, like in Florida, we used to call like the sand spur. It's how to be like, oh my God. So he's stepping, it's like a Lego or a sand spur, and the man's extending his leg, his bare leg, and he's not getting snared, or he's not getting pricked or stung by whatever, yellow jackets or whatever's on the ground, and you're literally moving forward with, I'm eating healthier, the crock pot, the diet, I'm validating it. I'm doing the boots on the ground work, legging, walking ahead. I'm going forward with this. I'm going to participate in this. And what's happening is you're getting a leg up, or you're getting further into, you're actually seeing the 3D physical results of first the symbols of the dream world and the mobile home and the aha moment, the epiphany you have with yourself of like, that's me.
That's why you keep a dream journal too. Sorry to step on you there, Mary,
No, absolutely. Oh, I love dreaming. I write things down all the time.
The reason why is here's the thing. Your unconscious is speaking on a level that we right now, as we're talking, all three of us, we're yapping. We think we got everything in control and we understand everything. Your unconscious is speaking on a level so deep and so powerful that you may interpret a dream and think, oh, I got it figured out. But it may be telling you truths on 7 different levels.
Exactly.
That's how it's almost like the Logos is speaking to you, right? So even this interpretation that you have of this dream now still keep an open mind as to later you might find even deeper things and meanings to that one dream. That's how, imagine if God was speaking to you, right? Do you think it's just English, like it's real simple and formulaic? It is so deep and so meaningful. That's what the power of symbol and the power of dreams is. That's why it's important to keep a damn dream journal if you can. You know.
Aho, amen. Aho, amen. My guides just said for you and Mike, my guides just said exactly to Joe's point with those words. Pay attention to those words, because what it is it's a movable feast. You're going to dine at a banquet of awareness and illumination again and again. It's a soul dinner. It's a feast. It's like an awakening type of a thing. It's not just you and I sitting at a table or a desk or in a studio or walking the beach or up on the mountain to seek the waterfall. Like Mike was saying, we want to be happy. It'll make me happy if I can go to the table. Make me happy if I can get on my, make me happy if I get that check in the mail. It's a movable feast. We need to not strive to have control. That's another lesson of when we're shifting from Virgo into Libra. Whatever sign we are, do the work, the peace will come. Virgo is the work and the routine, our daily routine. Will you continue to have the discipline and apply yourself? Will you apply yourself? The results are in the efforts. Actions speak louder than words. So not only do we pay attention to our words, self-talk included, self-criticism included, words that come at us where we're setting boundaries, where we're saying, course correction time, and sometimes when we're driving or walking, we'll go, I'm not using that word anymore. I'm shifting my language, because when we speak our words, we're putting our sacred breath with sound, in whatever language you want to choose it to be.
Well, what were you saying, Mike or MJ, about someone's not taking you to the food market anymore? Are you worried that you're not going to be?
Well, no, I order my stuff from Walmart, and I can get his stuff that way. But she's been she's getting busy with her kids. They're getting older, and they all have separate things they're doing. So she's not coming as often. And at this point in time, I don't need gasoline for anything because my van is shot. It's totally shot now. It's not even fixable. It was for gasoline for the ride mower, and it's full of gas, and we've had a drought, so it's August, September time, and the gas is not growing, so I don't have her around as much. But she was my only outlet to, because I can't leave the property now. Her not coming around, I can't leave the property.
Okay, so you're saying the problem is that she was your only way to get somewhere, right? And so,
right.
So you're kind of worried about that, and I think.
I'm worried, and I'm not. I have to accept the circumstances.
Okay, I think that's kind of what he might. Maybe you were wanting some kind of hint, or I was just thinking we sidestepped that, so I didn't know if. No,
that was good. Because what I feel, MJ, when he's talking about that, is that there's a shift in the actual 3D world too, and you're grateful for all that she did. You recognize she's coming to. She probably didn't even see it coming in. But she's come into a really busy time in her life. So by faith and with the fuel of your faith, someone new is entering your life. There will be that other delivery person or person that transports. And it cannot, you're still open to the fact that even though another mobility issue happened, the van was shot, that you're ready for other vehicles of transportation, either to or fro, and that you're going to start building your faith of being happy about, and God's in the spirits on great spirits on perfect ways. Your mobility factors, you got the massage table, you're working on your hip and legs, you got the leg card. Your mobility factors are in a state of flux and change and upgrade.
Okay. Oh, well, I had two dreams of vehicles. One was the front end. I actually looked online because I remember the front end, it was a dark blue, but the grill was different. So I started looking around. I started looking at C-class motorhomes, and the grill matched a few of them. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Because it was a bigger vehicle. I figured out, I thought it was like a truck, but it was bigger than that, but I didn't see the whole body. But the front end was like, it was a grill of a freaking motorhome, Class C. And then the other car was a Miata.
Interesting.
And I knew it was a Miata because the inside of the front door on the left, I knew how they did the top of the door has the same color paint that's on the outside, and that's exactly what it was. So I know that I've seen those. I look online and look at them, and that's what they had. And both of them were brand new. Both of them are brand new.
Well, and also you said the color blue. Blue is your aura color right now, and you want to make friends with blue. You want to breathe blue, whether it's indigo or royal blue or sky blue or robin's egg blue. Blue is the physical, like Joe's saying, take a dream journal, which you're doing, obviously, because you're remembering a lot of details.
Exactly.
But blue is actually going to be, like when I was studying about the throat chakra, back in the 80s, I had like these English mediums, and they were saying, always try to keep a blue glass, or a blue bottle if you get some kind of liqueur or whatever product in a dark blue bottle. If the glass is actually blue, it invigorates the thymus and the throat chakra and how you communicate with spirit. So I've always kept a blue drinking glass, and if some kind of pretty bottle has whatever's in it, I don't care. I want that blue. So the blue color, and if you can breathe it. It can be free. You just breathe the blue color, that blue that you're seeing on the Miata and the grill and all that. That color is wanting to talk to you. True blue. It's true blue. It's reliable. It's like there's a certain sound, there's a certain song, there's a certain dream, there's symbologies or an animal totem like the owls we were talking about. The blue is your signature. It's a part of the medicine and the prescription and how the magnet of you. Blue is going to be talking to you. True blue. You can rely on it. Blue. Don't be attached to what it's going to be.
All right. Thanks for your call, brother. And let us know how it goes. Even in the Discord, you can let us know how it goes in there too. So
I'll say thanks so much.
Thanks. That's pretty interesting. So I would look at like even Don't Watch. They called into in Utah, and like everybody that called in. I think Mary's onto something with that. But just look at like you're in God's dream. You're the character in God's dream, and God can speak to you like maybe not the language that we speak to each other, but through the creations and the manifestations and the little things like owls and the color blue and all of those things. Like that's the best Libra relationship you're ever going to have. I think you were hinting towards that in the beginning, right, Mary? Like
Absolutely.
Yeah.
To thine own self be true. And what you said, I love that statement. I want that to be said again. How did you say that? Imagine we're in God's dream.
Yeah, you're in God. It's not, you have dreams. And but you're living in God's dream. God's playing you and you and you. Like, so
bumper sticker right there.
The language that God speaks is the logos, or through symbol, right? Like that's why even when you pick up religious texts and they say, I saw this and I saw this vision, or whether I was in and out of the body or whatever, like that's how it speaks to you, and it wants to speak to you. That's the cool part about it. It's the more you start consciously exploring and speaking back to it, the more things start happening, right? And then if you go out and try to explain it to everybody, like, oh my God, this is happening, some people are going to think you're a freaking psychopath, like they did to Socrates. But it doesn't matter, right? Because what you're seeing is how faith works. When they say faith, that's how faith works.
Absolutely.
It's scary.
Faith is my solid companion, but it's my teacher. It's it's like Saturn for me. It's like it'll correct you. It'll say, like we've heard, oh, ye of little faith. That's the Saturn part of it going, what are you doing? You're saying you want this to work. What are you bailing for? So there's like that Saturnian factor, oh, ye of little faith. And then there's the people that will say things like, well, I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. I switched that around with myself, and I said, as I see it, as I believe it, I will see it. Instead of, I'll believe it when I see it, as I see it, I'll be able to believe it. As I believe it, it's going to manifest. Like I take that sentence and I let those words spin in a halo. I let them just start becoming alive and moving around of like, I believe it, therefore I see it. And again, to Joe's point, I'm not talking about self-delusion or psychotic breakdown episodes. I've got to only see it this way, or they're crazy, or I'm crazy. No, it's about to thine own self be true. What are you putting your eyes into? What is your inspiration of sound or color or words or music or dance or video or visual? Start looking at what you're putting your eyes onto, and even when you close your eyes, go into that internal realm, the internal chambers of your heart, and merge that. Let the heart be the final director. Let the heart be the teacher and the student. Let the heart say, this is you. It's okay to be you. This is real. You must trust. Allow the faith magic to work. Engage it, summon it, invite it.
I think everybody is magical. They just, to be a practicing magician or whatever, in my opinion, it's not a snooty thing. It's just becoming aware of it, right? Like, there's people that say, "Oh, we're in a prison and we're cattle and it's some kind of experiment." Well, remember, you're in God's dream. God's dream is a garden. Those are seeds that you're planting in that garden, and God's going to verify that reality. Because maybe consciousness wants you to experience that you're a prisoner in some type of soul trap. Maybe that's a new adventure for God. And he's just going, okay, I'll go with you on that ride. It's the same thing with everything you do,
It is. It absolutely is, Joe. It's like even when people get into oracle cards or numbers or dream images, there's like the sometimes the stressful cards that come out in the oracles or the tarot. There's the stressful dynamics, which I do need to mention before we close the show. Right now, on this September the 23rd, there is, because Mars just slipped into the Pluto-ruled sign of Scorpio. Mars is strongest in Aries, was co-ruler to Scorpio. Mars just went into one of its power places of Scorpio, and it's there for a while. It's been 2 years since it was there. It's squaring its ruling planet Pluto in Aquarius through Wednesday. So most astrologers are like, when Mars and Pluto come together, it's volcanic, it's typhoons, it can be orgasmic, and
it's a reckoning, is what it is. A reckoning.
It's a reckoning. Yes, it's a reckoning, an epiphany. But at the same time, Plutonic Scorpio is naturally associated with the eighth house. So it's how the divine, instead of me picking up a cell phone or me doing an email or me doing a Discord or a direct message or video, it's the way spirit communicates with you. Like, we know the internet, we work with it all the time. We've become complacent with it, but it's invisible, basically, once you start engaging it. So spirit right now, the eighth house and Mars and Pluto are saying, be careful of what thou ask for, you may get it. So we're being put on point to be aware of what it is that we're asking for, kind of tone down our expectations about it. As Joe and I were talking about, allow faith to be ignited and engaged like the candle of your intention. Know that this is the starting of the seventh, the Libra experience of balanced day and night, equinox, equal day and night. The days are slowly becoming shorter, just like at spring equinox, they're slowly becoming longer. So there's two solstice points, winter and summer, and there's the autumn and the vernal spring equinox. So we're at that point of equality. We're at the Aries-Libra dynamic right now. The next full moon will be a supermoon in Aries. So it's also going to teach us, look at your anger. Where is the frustration? Where might you be a little too hard on yourself? Where might you be getting a little irritated or impatient, and others? And maybe tone that down. And where there is anger, let it be a teacher that stay with it until it becomes constructive and leads you to a point of peace. Okay? You're not just triggered. You're not just wanting to take action in traffic to express your anger, and to show someone what an asshole they are with what they just did in traffic. Instead, it's going to be like, wow, I'm going to take the peaceful way of the peaceful warrior, the way of the peaceful warrior. And as Capricorn Khalil Gibran wrote in The Prophet, there are still cave dwellers. The caves are our hearts.
Is that the final recap of this moon, Mary? This new moon?
It is. It's about whatever seems to be overriding you and overwhelming you and seeking, your attention, pay attention to this, pay attention. I'm not going away, pay attention to this. That's the Aries I am, wanting you to become at peace with the Libra we can. So we're at the peace point now. And to arrive at peace, we have to be willing to own what's disturbing our peace. We have those signs, do not disturb, on the bathrooms and certain doors, or when you're in a session, a counselor or a doc, do not disturb. So this is like the peace that passeth all understanding is saying it's okay to look at what's disturbing your peace because peace has flown in. Libra is the dove of peace, and the candle is lit, so it's time for you to say, what brings me peace right now? What is peace to me right now? Right now, September of 2025, not tomorrow, not, I loved your analogy and the transactional bliss of the child that found a branch and carved it, did some carving on it and became.
I did that
an
a bunch, man. I remember spending hours on the sidewalk just sharpening a stick, just trying to make it pointier.
Meditation, Joe. It was meditation, and you made a point, and you made a point. You made a point. You sharpened it. You made a point. You literally took wood, the element of earth, and changed it into a point that could be multifunctional. You made it a tool.
Yeah.
It was a tool. It was talents.
So
that
entertaining.
Turned it into a tool. It is. And it was an open-eyed meditation. You engaged your conscious mind physically to do something of a creative artistry, and that one word is called alchemy. Transform. Let the alchemy happen. Yeah, let it happen, because the peace is seeking us right now. That's what I'll finish with. Peace is here. It's seeking us right now. What are we allowing or doing that might be in the way of the peace that's seeking us right now? Libra is the peace, and if we're disturbed about it, at least do the Virgo work of the eclipse over the next 5 to 6 months to say, what if I've been granting permission that's disturbing my peace, even if it's me to me, So don't look at what's disturbing your peace and invite peace every day. Get up and say, I have intention, and I affirm peace. I feel you. I've been seeking you. You are now here and answering my call. Peace, go with me, breathe me, imbue me, be a part of my exits and my entrances. I invite you, peace, and we are one. Amen. Aho.
You guys make sure you go to marydusina.com. I can feel it again. Really feel it this time. Somebody wants to get a reading from Mary, but you're scared because you know how honest it's going to be. I can feel it, man. I face that fear. Get the reading. Go to marydusina.com. Get the reading. Let me know how it went. I need the feedback. I don't doubt Mary. That's not why I need the feedback. To me, it's ceremony. It's ceremony. Like I said, celebrate the wins, celebrate the good things. They keep happening. So get a reading and then get back to me. Hit us up in the Discord. Everything is fringe.fm.
Ties to the show, ties to Joe, his time and his equipment and his talents. Thank you. We do this for free, but I'm asking you, whatever, 5, 10, 20, it's autumn. It's good 5, for us 10. All to give. Tithe.
And thank you, Paulina, Ari, and Georgiana for the super chats. We'll see you guys tomorrow night right here on Lighting the Void. We're going to miss you, Mary. We miss you every moon cycle.
Thank you, honey. Thank you. I'll be back. I'll be back.
Good night, y'all. Take care of yourselves.
I'll be blessing you all. I'll be blessing you all at the October Superman.
Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Night. Sweet dreams.
That intertwine, unresolved and undefined in this echo chamber. Once you've given up the ghost, just like Lazarus, you know there's an operator, some strange passenger inside. To that strange power I'm resigned like an iron anchor.